In the 1990s, the New York Times estimated that Americans threw away 2 billion, with a B, tons of medical equipment every year. So we're a nonprofit that loans out medical equipment for free. Keep it as long as you want. It is truly free for everyone who lives in the San Gabriel and San Fernando Valleys.
And the average piece of equipment comes back in and goes back out
6 to 8 times.
Welcome to the podcast, Connecting is Caring. Connecting is Caring is a podcast of New Way Home Care. In this podcast, we connect you with the gems, hidden gems in our community. Today, one such gem we are connecting is Convalescent Aid Society. I'm really honored to have the CEO of Convalescent Aid Society, Mark Waterman, and Quinn Bevan, Development Manager, join us in this podcast. Thank you both for coming on our program.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
For the listeners who doesn't know what Convalescent Aid Society, I'm going to say CAS.
That's fine. Okay. It'll save us a lot of
time, right? So tell me a little bit about what CAS does so that people understand what you do.
Sure. So we're a nonprofit that loans out medical equipment for free. So things like hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers.
For free.
For free. Keep it as long as you want. And as Quinn is always good at reminding me to mention, is that we have no income requirements. We don't take insurance. It is truly free for everyone who lives in the San Gabriel and San Fernando Valleys.
It's like in the tax advertisement where they say free, and it's totally free.
It's totally free. No strings attached, no catches, nothing, just free.
Amazing. How do you do that?
We get generous donations from community foundations, from people actually who borrow the equipment will even donate, and we just use those donations to get the equipment. We also get a lot of equipment donated in so that we don't end up having to purchase too much. So we clean it up, we sanitize it, we make any repairs needed, and then we loan it back out. And the average piece of equipment comes back in and goes back out 8 times, is that?
6 to 8 times. So a piece like, Sam, if you donated a wheelchair to us, its average life in our system going out to clients in the area would be 6 to 8 different times. It would go into 6 or 8 different homes.
Amazing.
Because these are the technical term, you're in the medical industry, but the technical term for this equipment is called durable medical equipment.
Okay.
But what ends up happening is, people have an accident and they have a surgery and they get a piece of equipment while they're recuperating and they'll use it for a month or so and then they're done with it.
Right.
And rather than leave it in the closet or cram it in the back of the garage or something, donate it to us and we'll sanitize it and we'll loan it back out. Again, 6 to 8 times. So you've got a multiplier effect for every piece of equipment that's donated in.
Even clients that transitions, their equipment can be donated to you and then you can reuse that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wonderful. So is there a gap that you're trying to fill? And how does that work? How do you come into this business? Right now you're filling a huge gap. How do you identify that gap and get into it?
That's an interesting question. The kind of secret about the way that we operate is that we need the current system to work somewhat well because the donated equipment that we get comes from other sources. It comes from people who have Medicare, who have private insurance, or who order a piece of equipment off Amazon. So we need the system to kind of work to some degree so that we can get that donated equipment and not purchase it.
Also, the way we fill the gap is that a lot of times people don't have authorization from their doctor or their insurance where they need a wheelchair to go to an event, but they don't need it all the time, so insurance won't authorize it. And that's when we come in and we don't ask for doctor referrals.
Interesting. I never thought about temporary need of the equipment. People don't think about that, and often they don't know where they can loan an equipment and then give it back again for free.
Yeah. And sometimes it's real quick. It's you're in a hospital, they want to get you out. Like the hospitals want to discharge. And so there's a real push to get people out of the hospital. So oftentimes we'll get people coming directly from the hospital. It's like the loved one is taking care of their family member who's in the hospital. They've got their visitor badge on from the hospital. They come directly from the hospital and say, hospital's trying to get us out of there today. Can we have an X, Y, or Z? And we help them. It helps the individuals. It helps the healthcare system. It helps the doctors. We do fill this really interesting gap, and we do it in a variety of different ways. It can be the hospital discharges. It can be people who are recuperating at home for a little bit. We do a lot of our clients are just elderly people who are aging in place And so one of the gaps that we fill is we don't necessarily need them to go live in a facility, or they don't need to go live in a facility because they can be somewhat autonomous. They can use new wave home care to have a healthcare, helper come in the house a couple times a week, and they can remain mainly independent, which has a lot of value. And studies have shown that people who are able to recover or recuperate or kind of live long-term in their own space tend to have better health outcomes.
You touched upon something very important. You said healthcare, and from a lot of readings that I do, the DME, the durable medical equipment, is a huge revenue consuming item for the healthcare system. I mean, I think you should go national on this. I mean, honestly, you can really save the system a lot of money. Why throw away good equipment when it can be perfectly used again and again and again? It's a shame that we are just throwing things to the side and then buying it all over again.
Yeah, well, Quinn's heard me say this before, but when I first took the job years ago, I came across an article from the New York Times, and it was written in the 1990s. So the data, even when I got it 10, 12 years ago, was outdated. But in the 1990s, the New York Times estimated that Americans threw away 2 billion, with a B, tons of medical equipment every year. And think about how our population has aged.
My head is spinning with that number.
Then.
Yeah.
So think of what you're talking about, the waste of manufacturing a piece of equipment, oftentimes abroad, packaging it, putting it in a shipping container, putting it on a giant ocean vessel across the ocean, having it unloaded on a forklift and stored in a warehouse, have it unboxed, have it trucked to a retail facility, have it picked up or shipped from that to an end user, only for someone to use it for 3 weeks and then throw it in the landfill is extremely wasteful.
It is. And also our healthcare system is financially broke.
And expensive.
Right? I mean,
exactly.
So this can be a huge pain reliever for the healthcare system. Let's wave a magic wand and you go national and this happens. You could save the healthcare system a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll think about that.
Mark has
Just giving you some ideas here, right?
You've helped a couple of nonprofits. There's one in the San Francisco Bay Area. And
that we've helped kind of get off the ground. There's an agency in Florida that we've worked with. I've become good friends with someone who started their own Convalescent Aid Society-like agency in Connecticut, and he's doing some really good work. So there are other people that are picking up on this, and they're trying to approach it from sort of the angle that we have, where it's free to people. It's reusing community resources and keeping stuff local. So yes, if we were to go national, the key is you have to have a local footprint.
You still have to have local footprint.
Yeah,
yes.
because what we found is people will drive 100 miles for a free wheelchair to pick it up if they need it. Oftentimes, though, even if they feel that they've really benefited from it, they won't drive 100 miles to return it.
Return it, yes.
And you have to, as you understand our model, the returning of the equipment is so important because that's, as Quinn notes, 6 to 8 times. We have to get it back so that we can loan it out again. We have to get it back again so we can continue to loan it out back and forth and back and forth. That efficiency, then the system doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
So is there a client story that you want to share that showcases your impact in what you do?
I guess I'll speak about my personal experience before I joined the team.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Both my parents had cancer. Both of them had cancer twice. And in that time, they would be in the hospital, be released, like Mark was saying. They'd go to a rehab facility, and then with very short notice would be released home. And we needed hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers, rollators. I mean, I don't know how much, commodes. I don't know how much equipment we borrowed over the years. And I had a difficult experience with my dad. He had cancer. He finally decided to join hospice. We still had equipment, thank goodness, from Convalescent Aid Society. Signed him up for hospice. They brought in all their new equipment. I hadn't returned the Convalescent Aid Society equipment yet. It was in our garage. A week after we enrolled him in hospice, they called and said, "We're shutting down, but don't worry. We're going to sign you up under a new hospice, and but we'll have to take all the equipment."
Oh, God. Okay.
And I was in a panic. And thank goodness I still had the equipment from Convalescent Aid Society, and we were able to use it. And needless to say, I found a better hospice company. I was like, Absolutely not. We are not doing any business.
If you're watching this, feel free to reach out to Quinn
Yes.
offline, and she will share that referral with you.
Well, and shout out to Danny, who did your podcast, because she works for Unique Hospice, and that was the hospice I ended up going with, which I didn't know them personally at all. I wasn't in the industry.
They do amazing work.
They were phenomenal. And so we got on board with Unique, and I was still so scared to give up the equipment that I held on to the Convalescent Aid Society equipment the entire time my dad was on hospice. And what's cool about CAS is that they don't bug you or ask for it back. They call or ask the client to call every 6 months and let us know if you're still using it. Great. And so it was a godsend. So when the position opened up, I was like, absolutely, I'm a true believer.
So Quinn has that experience. I've actually been a client too. I had a series of health challenges 8 or 9 years ago. I was in the hospital for a while. I'm fine now. I got the platinum package from CAS as well, like all the stuff. And I used it while I recuperated. I don't know if you're the same generation as me, but there was a commercial.
I could be older than you, Mark.
I don't know. Well, I won't assume one way or the other. But do you remember the old Hair Club for Men commercial? And the guy was like, he's like, I'm not just the CEO, like I'm also a client. So I tell people that when I go around, I'm like, I'm not just the CEO of Convalescent Aid Society. I've actually been a client and I've personally benefited. And I was that typical situation. I've been in the hospital for a while. I needed equipment. I wasn't going to need it forever. So why would I go buy it? Got it from CAS, used it for about a month, got better, returned it. And that stuff may still be in our system going in and out of people's houses.
Very well, maybe.
So let me segue into the fire that affected a lot of our friends and families in the last year. That was in January. And how did the fire impact you at all?
It impacted us a lot. It impacted everyone who was working at CAS at the time of the fire, either personally evacuated or had a direct family member who was impacted and either had to evacuate or lost a home.
Oh, wow.
So it was a crisis situation for everyone at CAS, just like it was a crisis for everyone in the Altadena and some parts of Pasadena area. So we were impacted that way. Our building also sustained some damage in the winds. Like we've had some roof issues that came up through the fires. Obviously, being able to operate during the immediate aftermath of the fire was a challenge because there were so many emergency vehicles going around. The air quality, if you recall, the air quality was
It's terrible. Yeah.
But we felt as an agency to a person, even though we'd all been impacted by the fire, we felt really strongly that we needed to continue to serve people because people had immediate needs, even though, there was this crisis going on. And I'm really proud of the way that our staff, a couple of people had to take a day or two, but we opened back up immediately.
And you were involved with a lot of helping the community activities. So you want to talk a little more about what you did after the fires?
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to add to what you were saying that luckily we have a second facility in Burbank. We don't just have the Pasadena. So even though we weren't able to operate in Pasadena because of everything going on, we were able to still operate out of Burbank and serve everybody.
Yeah.
But I think we went to the Jackie Robinson Center.
Yeah, we gave away equipment there. There were some pop-up sort of immediate assistance places that we visited and just gave away equipment. Sort of no questions asked. We also did something, it's already easy. We didn't talk about this at the beginning. It's easy to borrow equipment from us. We ask for the proof that you live in the general area. And that's about it. But during the fires, and even still now, if you tell us you are from Altadena and have been impacted by the fires, we will pretty much give you equipment, no questions asked. And so we set up a special phone line for people who are fire victims to call and get immediate assistance. We waived the already minimal requirements for people to prove that they live in our area in order to get people equipment. We went to some of these community events and just gave out pieces of equipment. We reached out to, one of the things I did almost the day after is I called each of the facilities in the Pasadena Altadena area and just offered, hey, do you need equipment? Is there anything we can bring over? Because we knew that some of them had to evacuate people. And so we were just really trying to be just whatever we could do to make it easier for people. That was our mission. And I give a lot of credit to our staff because it was a challenge. If you remember, it was a really challenge. Everyone was scared. People trying to figure out where they're going to spend the night and, are their loved ones going to be okay? It was a lot. But our staff responded and, kudos to them.
Kudos to your team.
For sure.
I still have pictures of some of the facilities right next to our office, which burned, and a lot of the wheelchairs and the gurneys. It's just all over the place. It is just scattered. It's very touching to actually see and experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Quinn will mention too, I'll let her say this, but we haven't forgotten about people in Altadena either. So yeah, it's a year later and people, I think the anniversary was like back in people's minds for a minute, but fairly soon, most people are going to move on again, but we haven't. And we're really trying to still support the Altadena community.
It's such a nice thing that you're doing. This whole podcast that you're doing right now is to commemorate that 1 year anniversary of the fire and to bring out the stories of heroism, bring out the stories, that people don't know about. You did something that's very important and that needs to be told, and people should have an opportunity to understand what you did. You made a difference.
Well, we're trying, and we're still making a difference, right, Quinn?
Working on it, yes. We had, I believe it was 1,800 homes that we sent a letter to. So basically, we looked up every Altadena client over the last, was it 10 years?
Yeah.
We had 1,800.
So you're proactively reaching out to them?
Yes, and we had 1,800 people who had borrowed equipment in the last 10 years who lived in just Altadena. So we sent them a letter and said, just so you know, we're still here. If you have lost equipment, please let us know. A lot of them, I think we have only on file, 200 to 300 pieces of equipment that we know were in homes in Altadena that were lost, and therefore the equipment was lost. So we actually still are not totally sure how much equipment was lost, but we were really lucky to be able to forgive that and not, of course, not ask for any reimbursement for that. And then also, even more luckily, is we were able to replace the equipment for anyone who needed it.
Yep.
So
it was kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Both Quinn and I have talked to people and our staff as well who lost their home, reached out to us and said, "I'm so sorry that your wheelchair or your hospital bed was lost in this fire," and they feel bad about our equipment, and here we are saying, no, whatever we can do, don't worry about that. Can we replace whatever you need now? Can I bring it over to your house this afternoon?
I think people who experience the benefit of what you do, they're very grateful for what you do.
Sure.
So I think that's the feeling of, they feel sad that the equipment you loaned kind of got damaged in the fire and things like that, but still they wanted to kind of reach out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a client, when I was doing the list, I noticed that she was in Altadena and she was 102 years old. And the reason it caught my eye was she was born in the same year the Convalescent Aid Society was founded, in 1923.
Oh, wow.
She's still borrowing. She's a donor. And she was in Altadena, and I looked it up, and her home was affected, but it was hard to know how much. So I thought, what, I'm just going to call her. Her daughter answered. She's very private, so she asked me not to share her name, so I won't. But she's 102, still lives independently. Her daughter helps take care of her. And when I called, her daughter said, "I'm so glad you called because we lost your wheelchair." And thankfully, they only lost their garage, not their whole home, but the wheelchair was in the garage. And we were scared to call. We didn't know what to do. And I said, "Oh my goodness, by all means, do not worry about it." And then her and the daughter and I have now become friends. We actually text all the time. And she finally called me last week and said, "I bought a wheelchair off of Amazon when this happened, and it's just not up to par. The back's too short. The arm keeps dropping down." And I said, "Come borrow another wheelchair. Do not do that.
This is what we're here for."
Yes.
Don't get it from Amazon.
Yeah, right. Yes. And she didn't. She's like, "Well, I felt so bad about the wheelchair." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, do not feel bad. Come on and get one." So she came last week and got one.
Now, that's not to say that if you borrow our equipment, you will live into your hundreds. But I would say there's a better chance if I can plug our agency, if you get the right equipment.
For 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, which is amazing.
So how much equipment did you lose to the fires?
Hard to know exactly. It's probably under 1,000 pieces. We'll probably never fully know. At some point, stuff just won't come back to us, and we'll have to write it off.
And we did try to, when we made the list of Altadena clients, we tried to cross-reference it with the fire map, which was devastating just to look at. And 600 of the homes on our mailing list were counted as destroyed.
Oh.
So it's just heartbreaking.
Which means they borrowed from us or donated to us at some point in the last 10 years or so, which is obviously a huge group of individuals that were impacted, that were our people.
Yeah.
How will you refill what you lost? Are you still getting new equipments coming in, or people are still donating equipments?
People are very generous. We get a lot of equipment donations in Burbank and Pasadena, so we've been very lucky.
Yeah, I like to think that we serve people primarily by giving them equipment that they need. That's the main thing. But we also serve people in two other interesting ways that sort of addresses what your question is. One, if you've borrowed equipment and you don't need it anymore, let's say that you got better. You don't really want the reminder around the house of the struggle you went through.
Yeah.
So we help people by, hey, let's just get this visual reminder of this trauma out of your house. That's a benefit.
That's a benefit, yes.
Yeah. Another way we benefit people, which I didn't fully understand until I worked here, is we are just about the easiest step in the whole healthcare process. You know, if you are needing pretty serious medical attention, you're obviously dealing with probably insurance or Medicare. You're trying to coordinate doctor's appointments. You may be trying to get surgeons lined up. You're trying to figure out hospital stays. You're trying to figure out home care and how that works and interviewing those types of agencies. There's all of these things, these moving pieces that are very complicated. Our system doesn't make it easy for people to navigate this world.
And they need to get the equipment from the DME supplier.
Yeah.
That's a process.
That would be another step in the thing. So one of the benefits that we provide to people, which I didn't fully understand until I sat in our lobby back when people used to come in our lobby, now it's all online. But when people used to come in, they would get what they needed, and they still can, in minutes. Very few questions asked. We are the easiest step in the process. So while you're dealing with all these really complicated other things, we're easy. And that's a benefit to people. If you're thinking about how stressed you oftentimes are, people are when they're dealing with this stuff, we take the stress and lower it for this one tiny little segment of the process. And that is a really important benefit that I think people appreciate.
Wonderful. And also during the fire, you're not just doing it all alone. You're working, coordinating with other agencies. Which other agencies were you working together, collaborating with?
So Pasadena Village, Katie Brannon, who was
they're wonderful.
Yes.
Pasadena Senior Center, very much so. Neighborhood Servants, which doesn't specifically work in the senior space, but community-based.
Altadena type.
Exactly.
Focus. Those were our main partners, but really the call kind of went out in the nonprofit space right after the fires, and a bunch of us who lead organizations just got on phone calls or had email chains like, hey, what are you hearing? Do you know people that need whatever? And it was a lot of, even if we weren't connecting people directly to us who needed equipment, we were trying to figure out where there were needs and what agencies or resources were available. And a lot of it was just in the moment. I kind of blanked out, honestly, because it was such a hectic time. But for the first couple weeks, there was a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls. Hey, who's got a problem with this? And do we know resources here and there? And everyone in this area that I interacted with just was so humble, so willing to help, so generous with their time and their effort. It was inspiring in a world that can oftentimes feel like things don't work that well. I personally got to experience a bunch of other people in this area just going above and beyond to help, and it was inspiring.
Well, and it still feels that way. All right, because One Generation, I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yes, I am.
But they're all the way out in San Fernando Valley, and they just started a program recently. So we've actually been helping them to kind of launch that, and they're far away, so they weren't connected with Pasadena Village, for example, and they reached out to us and we connected them. So there's still people starting new programs and doing amazing things who aren't even necessarily very close to the fire zone. And still,
you never know when things are going to happen, and you need to have the resources connected to you.
Yeah.
And I like what you said, Mark. My own experience has been the same thing. It has been very humbling and very inspiring at the same time. In a natural calamities like this happened, people you don't really have never seen before suddenly steps forward and do this. And so many heroes, we got to see in action.
Yeah. Well, I noticed your Rotary pin.
Yes.
So speaking of that, we had a Rotary group from Las Vegas reach out last summer. And they said, we've raised this money. We want to support fire victims. We found your organization. Can we buy you some wheelchairs?
That's so sweet. I mean,
they bought us like 50
that's what
wheelchairs.
I said.
They bought us 50
Vegas.
wheelchairs, like from Vegas. No direct connection, but it's inspiring that in these moments that can seem so bleak, you do get a chance to see humanity. come through and do the right thing. Like, it's good. It's good. I need to be reminded of that personally, because sometimes it can feel like a lot. So that was one great example of people just from, way outside of our scope that wanted to help.
Yeah, I mean, I have known Cass for so many years now. You guys do such a wonderful work in the community. And that's why I wanted to introduce you as the hidden gem in our community. I mean, we in the industry, we know about you, and I wish more people know about you. Both in terms of supporting you as an organization and also spreading your message.
Well, thank you.
And if you want to share how people can support you, how people can benefit from what you do, you want to share your contact information?
Absolutely. If anybody needs to borrow equipment or would like to make donations, whether monetarily or equipment, you can reach us at www.cas, so that's Convalescent Aid Society, .org. You can also call our customer service line at 626-793-1696.
Thank you both for coming on our
Thank you for
program.
having us.
And this has been a beautiful experience. A lot of the stories that you said, I didn't fully hear it in the past, so it is so inspiring to hear what you did.
Well, thank you. Appreciate having us, and good luck continuing to get the word out about good agencies. I love that you're doing this.
Yes,
Thank you.